looking at. And part one of event 4 is underway. 7 clean and jerks for time at 2:55 for the men.
Okay, I can't see anything, guys.
Well, we'll keep you posted as far as what's going on. But Pat Vellner, he is in the upper left-hand part of your screen. He's your leader. So they go in, it looks like the order in which they sit in the standings right now. So that's from left to right.
A big thing at the start of this, it is a tiebreaker, so there's no points on the line per se for this portion. However, that could determine your point standings as a tiebreaker at the end. And when I was looking at this initially, is for some of these athletes, this is a mere formality in terms of getting through this. So you don't want to get too sloppy on this and kind of set yourself up for some bad technique going into the second portion of this event.
So Jacob Hepner is in the upper left-hand part of your screen. He has yet to finish. So he will get time capped. Jonakoski did it the fastest unofficially. These are all unofficial times. As we mentioned yesterday, we have judges on site. They are keeping time. We have scoring here, but we have to get times confirmed with the judge on the floor before they are official. So right now, 27.50. Jonakoski is your leader unofficially.
Now for Hepner, we said that this event was going to be, at the very least for Hepner, damage control. And you can see look, it's just not a strong suit. Relative to the field that he's competing against, he's not one of the strongest men in the field. Now for Hepner, even in that first 7 touch and go, the way he looks right now after that for a tiebreaker, I honestly wouldn't have even gone that hard in terms of that tie-breaking portion, because if you're going to get a tiebreaker last, don't overexert yourself going into the part that you really need to be focusing on, which is that heavy lift coming up.
We get about a 4-minute rest here before we will start the clean and jerk lift off, and the men will start at 290 pounds. And Coach B, I'll bring you in here, but when you watch someone, we don't have Coach B, so we're going to bring him back here in a second. We'll get him back when we can, but Pat Vellner loading his bar now to 290 pounds. So all the athletes are going to lift at the same time here, and they have that minute window in which to get that lift.
Yeah, and what this means for them against the rest of the field is nothing. They can't really see each other, and everybody knows that they're going to start with the same jumps, starting at 290 and going up 10 pounds every lift. But the big deal here is that the time in between the lifts is going to be very important for athletes to make sure they're staying focused on what they're supposed to be doing, thinking about the technique, not rushing things in, because that time in between is about a 3-minute break in between lifts. There's a lot of time to kind of get complacent, especially when you're by yourself.
Bjorgvin Gudmundsson warming up. He currently comes in 6th place overall with 280 points. He is 10 points back of Chandler Smith for that final spot on the podiums. Saxon Panchik loading his bar. He is 9th place overall right now, 235 total points. And Alexander Corona is a man you're going to want to keep an eye on here. He's a guy who can throw around some big weight.
I know Corona is definitely one of the athletes. If we're starting at 290, he can actually start by doing snatches if he wanted to. That's how strong this guy is. I think I saw him earlier this year in a competition, and in 4 minutes he snatched 300 pounds. Now Hepner, look, the reason why we're talking about him so much is because, one, he's sitting in 2nd place overall. B, this event is going to hurt him overall in top as far as the leaderboard. But the next 2 events I think are very good for him. He had a great day 1. Hepner's taking some warm-up reps that we've seen a lot of these athletes do. That's 275. The first bar is 290. And the way that looked, not super comfortable. Also, let's keep in mind what these guys probably feel like coming into day number 2 after what they did yesterday.
Pat Vellner is just going to sit this one out until he actually has to lift. This is a good event for Pat Vellner, and he has a sizable lead on Jacob Hepner. So Pat has a chance to really put a stranglehold on the top spot on the overall leaderboard with this event.
He absolutely does, and the reason is he is actually one of the best in the field, not just here at the Rogue Invitational, in the entire games athlete field at the clean and jerk. This is a very good lift for Pat Vellner. I like starting day number 2 off with this because, you know, a lot of these athletes are feeling yesterday. I mean, you think about what event 2 did to a lot of these athletes. I can't imagine what Sam Briggs probably feels nothing. However,
just went into Skynet, got her back adjusted, and she's all good.
But starting this off, I think, is actually a good way to kind of knock the rust off from yesterday and then almost get them warm and set for the rest of the event. Plus, who doesn't like to watch people lift some big weights?
One-minute windows in which to lift, and they're going to add 10 pounds every attempt. 100 points to the winner of the event, 95 for second, 90 for third, and there's a 5-point gap as you work your way down the standings.
Now, within that minute, you could potentially miss your attempt, and as long as you get it within that minute, you have the ability to do so. So my eyes are top left, second screen over is Jacob Hebner to see how this lift may go.
So lift number 1 starts right now, 290 pounds.
Oh.
We're keeping an eye on Jacob Hebner in the upper left-hand part of your screen to see how this lift looks, and Hebner will hit that so he stays alive. As it looks like every athlete had little trouble with the opening lift.
I saw Chandler Smith clean and jerk it as if he was doing grace with 290 pounds.
Chandler Smith is a powerful athlete. Remember when we first came on the radar, I was in that regional event with the heavy deadlifts, where he was just ripping that barbell like it was empty. I think it was like 405. So Pat Vellner, he was successful at 290, reloading his bar. Let's take a look back at his opening lift.
And so I saw for Pat Vellner, he did something very similar to Chandler Smith did, was just that power position. And what that means is just catching it high. And I'm kind of on two sides of that for a lot of these athletes is, you know, if it really is truly light for you to do, you can kind of reset in that little power clean push jerk format. That'll save you some time and some energy. And I'm okay with that as long as you're comfortable going into that squat clean position later on.
All right, thanks, Chase. We're going to bring in Coach Bergner now. We have that figured out, so appreciate you guys hanging there with us. Coach B, you set to watch some guys lift some big weights here?
I am so fired up, except I gotta talk to Chase, though, a little bit. Chase, you don't catch a barbell, Chase.
Oh, you said the word.
No.
You receive it, Chase. You receive the barbell.
Listen,
I'm sorry, Coach. I tried to tell him.
I'm going to shut up for the next 20 minutes.
Oh, my God. I can't believe it.
I should have known better.
Yes, you receive the barbell.
Better. You're still a good person, Chase.
See, this is what happens when you disappear. You got jokers like me trying to comment on a sport I don't really dive into.
We have about 2 minutes to go before the next round. But, Coach B, when you watch someone perform a clean and jerk, what are the things that immediately you're looking at to see whether or not that person is doing it correctly?
Well, first of all, I look at their feet, making sure that the feet stay flat-footed and balanced all the way through the movement of the pull. That way I can get more drive against the ground, and I can keep that barbell closer to my body by allowing the hips to go vertical. I have a saying that, the hips go up, the bar goes up. If the hips go out, if I have to pull the bar into my hips and then bang it off, the hips go out. And if the hips go out, the bar goes out, then it's not as efficient. That's one reason I don't particularly like the power jerk, because there's so much margin for error on that dip and drive that if that bar gets out of the groove at all, then it makes it a less efficient lift.
Less than a minute to go before we begin round 2, and that will be at 300 pounds. Every athlete's still alive here. Again, we're going to be keeping a close eye on Jacob Hebner, who knew that this would be a bad event for him. He came into this event in second place overall with 320 points, just 20 points up on Noah Olson and just 30 points up on fourth place Chandler Smith. So Olson and Smith could very easily find themselves in the top 3 after this event. Coach B, who are you going to be watching here?
Oh, I've heard you say the Koski snatched 400 pounds or something like
Yeah,
that.
Caron.
Yeah, Alexander
Uh,
Caron.
I mean, come on, if that guy's snatching 400 pounds, my God, this is going to be a contest. But yeah, we'll watch the legs. I mean, right now the big thing's going to be the leg strength after all the other stuff that they've done. They're going to be able to get under the bar, but getting up out of that clean is going to be a challenge. And then, of course, then you got to jerk the weight as well. So I'm looking at the leg strength of all these guys, but this is going to be fun. I think everybody's going to enjoy this.
Jacob Hebner hits his lift, so he is still alive as we move up to 300 pounds, and we'll get a 3-minute reset before we get to that lift. So what did anything stand out to you when we when we watched those 18 athletes lift, Coach?
You know what? I hate to say this, but I can't see it.
All right. Well, we'll just try to fill you in when we get a tighter shot of somebody. But everybody was successful. Let's take a look again at Pat Vellner. If you can break that down for us, Coach. If you can see it. If not, I will rely on Chase. And Chase, don't say catch the barbell.
Oh,
Receive. Receive.
Okay, I'm really trying to get this thing going. I want to see these guys badly.
All right, let's go to if we have Pat Vellner's lift here. This is at 300 pounds.
And now for Pat Vellner. Coach, I actually had this question for you because what we've seen is a couple different techniques between the power receiving position and then that squat receiving position. I think a lot of athletes try to...
No, I can't.
So I'll say a lot of athletes try to power
I can see little.
So for your advice to these athletes, some of them are trying to power early because it's a little bit lighter where others are catching it in that full receiving position. Would you want them to have more consistency from rep to rep, or would you kind of allow them to do that lighter weights in that power position for them?
You know, I think it's an individual's goal to do that. For me, I think that I can be more recovered by doing a full clean and a jerk, even when the weight's light, because I want to get my timing down. Mm-hmm. If you're very efficient in the clean and jerk, then a clean is nothing more than a missed power clean. But most guys will have a tendency to try to pull the bar up too much on a power clean, and that'll in the end fatigue them when they do receive the full clean. So I want to keep my timing going, maybe a real light warm up with the power clean. But then when I start out with that 290 or 300 that they're hitting, for me personally, I would go into a full clean and jerk.
Chandler Smith taking a break. He was successful as well at 300 pounds. Let's take a look back at his lift that he just hit.
Yeah, that's pretty ugly. I mean, this guy is so strong. It's unbelievable. But he does the reverse curl. So for me, he's really utilizing a lot of upper body strength and pulling that bar up, which will come back and haunt him at the end. But when he has to go into the clean and jerk, he's not going to have the timing down there. But this guy is so powerful, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think it's one thing me and Sean were actually talking about earlier. We saw Chandler post something earlier doing, I think he hit 355 in practice.
Yeah.
But like I said, it wasn't the cleanest technique, but how physically strong Chandler Smith is. He can get away with a lot, but like you said, that ceiling is probably a little bit lower without that technique added to it.
Yeah, you remember too, I'm a weightlifting coach. I'm not a CrossFit coach, so you know, I'm going to pick this down from weightlifting from that point of view. But if this guy's doing 355 with technique like that, there's no reason he shouldn't be doing over 400 with good technique for sure.
The next window has started. Brendan Willis was the only man who didn't hit 300 pounds. So Chandler Smith was successful. Pat Vellner is successful. Jacob Hebner getting set for his jerk on the upper left-hand part of your screen. And Hebner will hit that. So Jacob Hebner hanging in there so far.
Yeah, I thought Noah Olson, I did see his. I thought he looked really good. I thought Hebner looked good on that as well.
I think from what we saw in Hebner's warm-up when he was starting at 275, it looked pretty shaky. But since then, I mean, I know he's not the strongest guy here, but he's still a pretty strong guy. His reps have actually gotten a little bit better as the weight's gone up. So should be a little bit confidence building for Jacob Hebner.
Yeah, I noticed the exact same thing when I saw his 275. I saw his legs. I saw his pull look good, but coming out of that hole on the clean, it looked a little struggling to me. But that one looked really good.
Let's take one more look at this. Is Hepner at 310.
Not a bad lift. He needs to get the head through and chest through a little bit more, but all in all, it wasn't a bad lift. He's going to have to really catch that bar bounce. He's got to get that if he's going to get up with a heavier weight. If he stays down there in that bottom, it's going to be a struggle for him to get out of the hole, and then that's going to make it harder for the jerk for him.
Coach, what kind of athlete is easier to turn into a great lifter? Someone who has already a good technique, but not necessarily the strength, but maybe an athlete like Chandler Smith who has a ton of strength, but maybe not the greatest technique.
Yeah, I would tell you that I'm looking for gymnast. I'm looking for a person that's got good mobility, speed, and then I can get them strong. But taking a guy that's very, very strong and then trying to go back and get the mobility for him is a tough thing to do. Doesn't mean it can't be done. If he's willing to put the time in, I'll guarantee you he can get it.
We still have only one athlete who has bowed out, and that's Brendan Willis, as he was out at the 300-pound bar. So 17 athletes still alive here. This is the fourth event. We have 3 total events today. This one is worth 100 points to the winner, 95 for second and 90 for third. And if you weren't with us yesterday, we talked about how Rogue Fitness actually sent a crate of equipment to all of these athletes along with instructions on how their floor needed to be laid out. That was done to keep everything as fair as possible so that they couldn't set up their gyms to where maybe they had shorter transitions, equipment was in different places. So they tried to keep everything as uniform as possible. So less than a minute to go before we hit window number 4, and the weight will now be 320 pounds on the bar.
I think that 320 next bar, 330 is where we're going to start to see some athletes really having to put some work in to get to that next level.
That's why the whole point here is being able to create a lot of speed through the middle quickly, get under the bar, and that bounce, when that bar has a tendency to kind of bend a little bit, use that bounce to get out of the hole. So that's the efficient use of the legs is critical here now.
One thing I've never seen my bar do is bend. I think I need to add a little bit more weight on the sides.
That's because you catch it, Chase.
Oh.
I'm never going to live that one down on a worldwide
I
national
feel bad
broadcast.
because I've been that coach told me that about don't say catch, say receive, and I didn't catch it, for lack of a better term. Chandler Smith will hit his lift. Pat Vellner, upper left-hand corner. He will make that. Alexander Caron was successful as well, Yonakoski, so it still looks like everybody is alive here. Nicholas Joyal just hit his jerk.
Hepner still had his jerk to go. I don't know what he got. Yeah, he got a little buried. Oh, all right, that's good for him. He got a little buried in the receiving position of that squat. Actually,
Nice
surprised he got up with it.
Yeah, there you have it. He's going to have a problem. But I watched Karen on that. Holy cow! This guy, we're in for a contest here. This guy is a beast. That is awesome.
Meanwhile, Pat Vellner looking to solidify his hold on the top spot on the overall leaderboard. This is his lift at 320 pounds.
Yeah, look, that's very efficient. Look how explosive he is through the middle. I love the way he takes in the air. Look at the quick hands, quick arms. Vellner looks unbeatable, really. I mean, that really was a good lift right there.
Jacob Hepner reloading his bar. He is hanging in there. He's trying to hold on to second place overall as Noah Olson is just 20 points back of him. So let's take a look at
what I saw of Olson looked
lift.
pretty good. All right,
So this is Hepner's lift here at 320.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, look at the back there. There's, man, whew, lot of lower back issues with that one. That's tough.
Meanwhile, Noah Olson is the man who sits in third place overall, and he's hoping to leapfrog Jacob Hepner into second. Let's take a look at Noah Olson's lift at 320 pounds.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Love the way he sets the bar for the rack. Strong, good dip and drive, fast hands. Very, very nice. Nicely done.
Finally to Chandler Smith, who currently sits in fourth place overall. He's just 10 points back of Olson for third, and he was successful at 320. Let's take a look at his attempt.
Oh, my God.
I mean, it's effective, though. He gets the job done.
Oh,
God,
the
he's so
jerk.
strong.
The jerk is unbelievable. I mean, seriously, but that clean, man, this guy, I wish I had him for a while, honestly.
Now, Coach, when you were talking about Hepner's back, what about that do you see being kind of deficiencies there, or what might be causing that for Hepner?
Well, he's pushing the bar away from him, or he's actually pushing his body away from the bar. It's really, and that might be because of what you said, I think, Chase, is that he's really holding that position up way too long. That bar's on his chest, and he's going to really have a tendency to want to be more upper body driven instead of the legs, and he ends up just pushing his body away from the bar. He's got to drive through that bar. That bar is going to be in a straight line. He's got to drive his body through the bar, and he's actually driving his body away from the bar. So it's going to be inefficient. When that weight gets too heavy, he's just not going to be able to make it.
330 pounds on the bar, 10 seconds to go. We'll be keeping an eye on, of course, the men who are atop the overall leaderboard on the top row, but also want to watch Alexander Caron, who's right in the middle of the second row.
Oh, my God.
Man. Okay.
Oh,
no
my
problem for
God.
Caron. That was about
Whoa.
picture perfect.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
my goodness.
Chandler Smith will hit his lift. Vellner successful. Hepner getting set up for his jerk in the upper left-hand part of your screen. So 330 for Jacob Hepner.
He just sits on his chest way too long.
Way too much.
It won't be able to hit the jerk, so that's going to be a no rep. And Jacob Hepner, unless he's going to make another go at this thing.
No, there's no way he's going to make that. Not with that technique.
Jacob Hepner looking like he's going to bow out on the 330-pound bar. So that will. Now we have to wait and see how far he's going to fall on the overall leaderboard, because the two men right behind him, Noah Olson and Chandler Smith, are still alive. So a good opportunity for the two of those athletes to catch up to Hepner here and change up the top of the leaderboard a little bit. But I was watching Alexander Caron, and Coach, I don't know if you were keeping an eye on him, but he looked great. Cole Sager is another powerful athlete. We have his lift. So let's take a look at Cole Sager at 330 pounds.
Oh, yeah, that looks good. Yeah, Cole's gonna really have to snap those arms into place. He's trying to hold the bar too much, and that weight's getting heavy now. If he doesn't have the snappy arms through that, then he's going to have an issue with heavier weight.
We are down to 16 athletes as Jacob Hepner has bowed out, and he will take a seat. One more look at Jacob Hepner's failed lift at 330 pounds.
I would love to have Hepner at my gym for about a week to square away that jerk. I mean, honestly, here's a guy that's very powerful. You know, I get his legs stronger, but this jerk is terrible. I mean, I don't want to be too critical of it, but it's just he's pushing his body away from it. See how he does that? It's like the old-time press is what it is, and it's got an issue with that. But jerks from behind the neck would really help him a lot.
you know, all this time in between, I would be on my phone hoping I could get like a personal coaching lesson from
Exactly.
Coach B in between this. But I think some of the different than the other events that we have is, you know, being able to, you could probably get on your phone and see how everyone else is doing and how that stacks up. Because again, these guys are in isolation; they have no idea what's going on. And when it comes to a lift, you're either good at it or you're not. It's really hard to like game day it. Some guys have that like PR competition lifts, at least in the CrossFit setting. But
well, Hebner's certainly a good athlete. There's no doubt about that. But he needs some work on the clean. I would go back to I'd like to know how he front squats. But if you look at that clean is so, I think it's a beautiful clean receiving position, but I'll guarantee you he doesn't go that deep when he does front squats. And that's an issue.
So 30 seconds to go before we start round 6 at 340 pounds. We saw Alexander Caron a little while ago, and he is a guy who can make up a ton of ground here. He sits in 8th place overall, 235 points. He's smack dab in the middle of your screen, second row right in the middle. So he's looking to maybe punch his way into the top 5. Jacob Hebner, Brendan Willis, the only 2 men who are out of the competition right now. $340.
jeez.
And Alexander Caron still looking great.
Oh, gosh.
Chandler Smith hits that. Yonakoski has failed his jerk. Vellner is successful.
Noah Ocean's arm speed is amazing. Looks really good.
Moonweiler will hit his lift. Or a no rep. He did not have it. Looked like he had it, but he wasn't underneath it. So Adrian Moonweiler running into some problems here. He still has some time, but he's expended a lot of energy. He's in the upper right-hand part of your screen. Came in 5th place overall.
Oh.
And won't be able to make it. So Adrian Moonweiler will bow out, and that's big for athletes like Bjorn Gudmundsson, Cole Sager, and Alexander Caron, the men right behind him in the overall leaderboard, as Moonweiler came in 5th place, 285 points. So he and Yonakoski, the 2 men who have bowed out in this round. So Alexander Caron has a chance to make up some ground here, and he continues to look really good on these lifts.
I'll tell you what, I'll adopt him right now.
Here's his 340-pound clean and jerk.
Look at that nice wide grip as well, guys. Now, that was a little ugly, actually, on the receiving position. But he is quick and strong. Look at this. Get that head through it. Yeah, not bad. Clean up a little bit of things, but I'm being very critical, believe me.
I would say, how about from the next lift? Any critiques or tips you could kind of give him, at least tweak that, maybe going up to the next 10 pounds?
Yeah, he's going to have to really stay tight in that receiving position. That's the big thing for him right now. If he lets the bar control him, then he's going to have an issue.
Here's Yonakoski. He failed the jerk at 340.
You kidding me? Wow. Yeah, that was just terrible leg drive, that's all. And then slow arms. You got to, the most important part of that jerk is that dip and drive. You really got to put a lot of momentum and speed on that barbell in order to bring in the arms. Now, he probably could have still made that, but his arms were very slow. He's got to punch the heck out of that barbell.
Is that focusing more, and you said no leg drive, when that bar is in that receiving position and the weight it feels there, that focus on maybe the upper body trying to be doing too much is a combination of like no leg drive and focus on the arms makes that slow?
Well, I think what happens is these guys don't breathe and stack. So you take in the air, breathe, stack, dip, drive. You know, it's got to be that stacking action is really going to allow you to get a lot of drive the proper way. And it's nothing more than a basic hard duty, hardcore jump that creates elevation and momentum on the barbell. Now, Koski at that point just had slow hands. The bar was up enough, but it wasn't fast enough, and he had slow hands. And if he could have speed up the arms, he would have gotten that lift.
We are down to 10 athletes now as we move into round 7, 350 pounds.
I want to watch Panchik this time to see how he's doing.
Saxon Panchik is in the second row. He's second from right. If you want to watch along with Coach B. Round 7 underway. Bjorn Gudmundsson has made his lift. Chandler Smith has hit his. Pat Vellner's lift is good.
Ben Smith got his.
No, Panchik missed the jerk.
Oh, Olsen.
Noah Olsen will make that lift as well. Will Morad is making another attempt here. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So Will Morad is going to bow out here in round 7. Noah Olsen has stayed alive as he looks to move into second place overall behind Pat Vellner. Here's Saxon Panchik. And he will make that.
Great.
Wow.
I thought he missed that. That was awesome, actually. That was really. Do you see the speed of the elbows on how important that is?
Yes.
And that comes in because of that dip and drive. His dip and drive was awesome. Maybe a little bit out front of him, but the elbows came in so quick to lock him under the bar. Then he could recover with it. That was a great job. And I actually thought from that small screen, I thought he missed it. But that was awesome, really.
Saxon Panchik will load his bar now to 360. Let's go to Pat Vellner's good lift at 350.
Up. Look at those arms. You see that? Great dip, great drive, fast arms. The clean needed a little bit more as far as I'm concerned. I think he was a little soft at the bottom, but he got up with it nicely. But that dip and drive is what made that lift. That was a great job.
Just 7 athletes remain now as Alexander Caron was unable to make that lift, so he will bow out.
That blows me away.
Bit of a surprise, but here's Chandler Smith at 350.
Whoa. Okay, Chandler, come to California. That guy is so beastly strong, it's amazing.
His father
Unbelievable.
played in the National Football League and attended the University of Florida. And Chase, you'll love this. His dad was the fullback for one Emmitt Smith when they were both at Florida.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Gosh, a fullback. That is brute strength, especially back then. Just giant battering rams.
Yeah,
Now,
seriously.
I think with his 360 lift, you're going to see 3, maybe a couple guys PR their lifts.
Pat Vellner, first place overall coming into this event with 375 points. He had a 55-point lead on Jacob Hepner, who bowed out early on in this event. Noah Olsen, he was in third place coming in, so he has a chance to move into second. Olsen with 300 points, just 20 points back of Jacob Hepner. And then Chandler Smith, we just saw him, he sat in fourth. So Smith and Olsen have a chance of moving into the top 3. And Bjorn Carl Gudmundsson, sixth place overall coming in, 280 points. Only 20 points back of Noah Olsen for third, so he's looking to slide up the leaderboard as well with 2 events.
Now, Sean, I'm looking at this. If these lists are correct, if anyone makes this, it's a PR. No one has done 360 in this group if this is recent stats for him.
Chandler Smith has made the clean. He stood that up. Gudmundsson can't hit it. Vellner can't make his. Ben Smith has hit his clean, and Olsen won't make that, so it's down to the Smiths. And Chandler will just muscle through that, and he will hit it. And I think Hoegberg may have gotten it as well on the bottom right.
And Ben's clean looks so good, though.
I'm going to call his daddy and say if he can come out here and visit me.
Gosh,
There's
I
the guy.
cannot imagine what he
guy's-
could do.
Oh, he's so athletic. It's unbelievable. I mean, everything he's got right now is just raw strength is what it is. And he's an athlete. Come on. You improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's the whole idea.
Well,
So
Ben's
Ben
going
Smith
again.
is going to go again here at 360.
Come on, Ben. Come on, buddy. Go.
The clean is good.
Easy.
Just can't stabilize it.
If he got his head through that, he would have made that lift. That was a great clean, too. And it was a great jerk, except it was just out front a little bit.
I can't imagine attempting that twice in 60 seconds and to
Right.
get to where he got.
Can't imagine trying to deadlift that in 20 seconds.
Speaking my language there, Sean.
Yeah.
Here's Chandler Smith, who just by sheer force of will was able to
Look at
make
that.
this lift.
Look at his left leg. Oh, my goodness. So strong.
Yeah.
Took a lot longer than he usually does in the setup there.
Whoa, man.
I don't even know what the hell to say, honestly. I mean, it is like brute strength. That's just incredible.
That is a bad man.
Yes, it is.
Oh, gosh darn. I would, give any kind of coaching with him at all would just be absolutely amazing because he is so brutally strong. It's incredible. He's so athletic. It's just incredible. He's got a lot of potential in the Olympic lifts if he continued to go with that route.
And Chandler Smith is a captain in the U.S. Army, and we want to wish the U.S. Army a happy birthday today, June 14th, 1775.
Wow.
So it's down
He's
to two.
in the Army. Beautiful. I love it.
Lucas Hogberg and Chandler Smith.
Now, Hoberg really needs this based off what he had in day one. It's kind of flipping the script where him versus Hepner was after this event, because this event might hurt Hepner to the point of not being able to recover in the next two.
Well, this is huge for Hogberg. He is in dead last right now with 115 points. He'd add 100 points to that total and rocket up the leaderboard if he could win this event. And Chandler Smith was only 10 points back of Noah Olson, so Chandler Smith could very easily find himself in second place overall.
We talked about that this morning on who we thought would do well based off the events today, and Chandler Smith was one of those guys we were looking at in that fourth place position, and this being a great event for him to start off with just because of the raw strength that he has.
Well, I love the fact that he's a warrior, too, representing our country and then coming out here and doing this. He's a good role model for all of us.
If my son comes to me one day and tells me he wants to be like Chandler Smith, I will consider myself a successful parent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Round 9, Lucas Hogberg's going to start. Chandler Smith is going to take his time. Hogberg trying to work his way out of the squat. That won't happen. I don't know if Chandler Smith is going to make an attempt here or if he's just going to take all the rest that he possibly can. Chandler Smith does have the tie break time over Hogberg. So if they both fail these lifts, Chandler Smith will win the event based on his tie break time on the first part, which seems a long time ago, is a 7 clean and jerks for time at 255 pounds. Smith is going to go for it, so he's going to maybe make just one attempt here. He's going to use all the time he can. As long as he starts the lift inside that minute window, he's okay.
Yeah, I think this is smart for him to do that way, too.
Lucas Hogberg, attempt number 2 for him.
Yeah.
And Smith says not going to happen, but Chandler Smith and Lucas Hogberg did hit 360. Chandler Smith has the tie break, so Chandler Smith will win the event, and he could be in second place overall with 2 events remaining.
That was incredible. Gosh, that was fun.
And Chandler, you have an open invitation to come train with Coach B anytime.
And